Joining us right now is CNBC senior contributor and also host of the Larry Kudlow Show, right here on WMAL, Saturdays at 7 p.m. It's Larry Kudlow. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, of course, we've been doing what everyone, in fact, just during our
that was interesting,
break
wasn't it?
in WMAL's coffee room, it's reflective of pretty much every coffee room around America.
Some of the salespeople, some of the programming people were all sitting around the coffee, and we were all telling our favorite scene that we saw Robin Williams in. I'm sure that's going on in offices all around the area.
And as we often say here, man does not live by politics alone. And Larry, man does not live by business and Wall Street alone. I know that you have a very special direct connection in a way to Robin Williams. Why don't you share that with us?
Well, it's not a direct connection to Mr. Williams per se, and like everybody, I mourn. It's a tragic thing for his death. He was a great actor, and I loved some of his movies. I just loved them. But I do have some experience with alcohol and cocaine addiction, and I did spend a good deal of time many years ago at Hazleton Treatment Center up in Minnesota, Center City, Minnesota. I guess Robin Williams had just returned from a stay at Hazleton, and it's a tough, reading all the things last night. It's a tough disease, very, very tough disease. And they, in the 12-step program, they call it cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I was reading in the New York Times how Robin Williams said, I guess an interview with Diane Sawyer, that his addiction had not been caused by anything. It's just there. Mm. And I understand that. I mean, look, with God's grace, I just had my 19th sober and clean anniversary. Wow. That was back in July 1. I was at Hazleton for 5 months in 1995, and I guess they were the best 5 months of my life. And in a sense, I know a little bit about what he was going through because I went through that myself. I say this is about him, not me.
Of course, but you can give us some insight here. Yeah,
I understand it. And I had a counselor up there who used to say to me, "When you're alone, you use, and when you use, you can't stop. So please ask for help." And so much of the program that's taught by Hazleton, which is a wonderful, magical place, is all about asking for help and trusting God. They call it a higher power. And asking help from your friends who are alcoholics or drug addicts or a combination of the two. You just have to learn a different way. And as the initial diagnosis here is depression, from my experience down through the years, addiction is always somehow at the front edge of depression. Huh. It always is. And you never know when it's going to hit you. And I, from my experience, and I hope Robin Williams had some of this in his wonderful life. Somehow God will keep you on the right side. He'll keep you off the cliff. But you have to work at it every day. You have to be positive. You have to see positive potential. You have to surrender your life, to the rules and the 12 steps. It's a spiritual program. It's always been a spiritual program, going back to the mid-late 1930s when the great Bill Wilson founded this program. And for somebody like me, when I heard the news, it's very interesting. I'm co-chairing a 12-step meeting on the Upper East Side of New York. Doing service is one of the great privileges in recovery, and one of the younger men showed me on his iPhone the headline that came across. And, you look at this and you say, well, there but the grace of God goes I. There but the grace of God goes I. And I've always believed in my 19 years of sobriety, every single day, that God has done for me what I could never do for myself if I just follow some very simple rules. And that's my thought for Robin Williams.
It's very poignant for you to share that for us, and I know it's appreciated in many quarters. But look, this is a tragedy. There's no doubt about it. A great loss, a man that we all loved. But let's not let the tragedy define the moment. So I guess what I'd like to ask you is, if there's somebody out there listening, maybe at this very moment, who's going through some kind of problem with a drug or alcohol or with depression or some other type of addiction, what would you say to them? What would be the thing that we can learn from this tragedy that has occurred?
That's a very important point you're making, and it's the reason that I talk about it from time to time when appropriate. And the advice I always give is go and get help. Do not think you can beat this alone. Do not, because you can't. That is what we are taught. This is the most difficult disease. And what does going for help mean? Well, look, you can go to 12-step meetings. That is a great place to start. Don't wait a week. Go today. Go today. Dial up 411, and they will find you the nearest Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and you should go to it. And number two, when you get there, listen to what people are saying and ask for help. Go up to people who have some sobriety under their belt and talk to them and tell them and be honest with them and see what they have to say. They're very good. It's called sponsorship. It's one of the key parts of the whole 12-step fellowship. And the other point I'll make is, yes, go to a good treatment center. There are many good treatment centers around the country. I believe, because Hazleton was a miracle for me, that it's a great one, but there are lots of good ones. And you're talking about a population here, gentlemen, of millions and millions of people. And the great tragedy of that is so many of them think they are alone and can't beat it. You reach a point down through the years, you reach a point where when you get up in the morning, you don't want to live and you don't want to die and you don't know what to do. And that's where the depression part comes in. And, any counselor worth his or her salt, and any sober person who's been through it, will tell somebody, be positive, and be brave, and you can change. You can change. Look, by God's grace, I have 19 years sober. By God's grace, I lost one career many years ago as a Wall Street economist. I did serve in government before then, and a whole new career came to me in sobriety, a broadcasting career on television and radio, and I'm still in it, and I love it, and I never dreamed it would be possible. But what makes it possible is the rewards of getting sober and staying sober every day, and I want to say to anybody living out there, living like this, it is one day at a time. Each day you have to practice the principles of sobriety, and they're there. They're there in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. They're there in the AA meetings. They're there in the good treatment centers. You have to work at it. It is my job. It has always been my principal job to stay sober and clean every day. And the tragedy of the great Robin Williams brings that home. And that's what people should take away from that. There is a way out. You're never cured, but you get a daily reprieve and you can live a new life. And frankly, God will open doors you never dreamed possible. Doors close, but doors open. That's what I learned.
Larry,
you can live a life you never dreamed possible.
Wow.
Larry Kudlow, it is great to have you every week, but boy, I can't think of a better day to have you than today.
Thanks,
and thank
Larry.
you for
that was awesome.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, Larry Kudlow.